First time using Hopin, but I'm going to jump directly into it because I know I lost a lot of time with the technical issues. So my name is Alex Santana. I'm the PI of this grant with the Gun Violence Research Center, and I'm also director of the Newark Public Safety Collaborative, an anchor program that is part of the Rutgers School of Criminal Justice, as well as the Rutgers Office of the Chancellor. So this project that we run under this grant is on developing data-informed community engagement strategies to address gun violence in the city of Newark. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about NPSC and what it is, because that's this organization, this intermediary organization, to be more exact, is the body of action that implemented this program, this project. So NPSC was launched in 2018, and its goal is to bring to the table a number of different community stakeholders, which include the police, as well as City Hall, community-based organizations, grassroots organizations, block group associations. We have an organization with over 45 community organizations at this point. And we're housed at the School of Criminal Justice. What is data-informed community engagement, which is the main program that was developed by the NPSC and first tested in Newark. The NPSC uses the data-informed community engagement model to implement different crime prevention strategies, programs, and activities in the city of Newark. DICE is a multi-pronged approach to crime prevention. It begins with democratizing access to data and analytics. In the case of NPSC, we do this through an MOU with the Newark Police Department. This MOU has been in place now for over 5 years. And it has really allowed us to tap into this type of data and be able to not just analyze it in-house, but also be able to share it with our community partners. The photos that you see on the side of the screen are NPSC's community outreach advisor, Lori Scott Pickens, as well as Adriana Santos, who is our program manager. And on the photo at the bottom, you see our bi-monthly data-informed community engagement meetings. At these meetings, like I said, over 45 different organizations come. And what we do is we have a conversation that is focused on the use of data and analytics to determine what are some of the current dynamics that are taking place in the city of Newark, and identify potential solutions and strategies to deal with these problems. So when I say data and analytics, I'm talking about a particular type of analytics. In my case, I'm a professor at the School of Criminal Justice on crime mapping. So geospatial analysis is something that has always interested me. We focus in particular on place-based analytics. What is place-based analytics? Place-based analytics have a focus on places. And in the case of our school, more particularly the Rutgers Center on Public Security, my colleagues Joe Kaplan and Les Kennedy developed back in 2010 a tool called risk terrain modeling. This is a very sophisticated type of analysis that has been improved and developed through the years, again, since 2010. What it allows is to understand the influence of crime on the built environment by looking at different types of place features, and how these place features, such as bars, restaurants, abandoned properties, overlap with different criminogenic past events, to determine areas of concern, areas where that should be given priority to develop crime prevention strategies. So once these areas have been identified, and these places have been identified again through the lenses of the different type of crime problems that we're analyzing, then this data is brought to the meetings so that we can empower these community organizations to become co-producers of public safety. And here, co-producers is really signaling what DICE is looking to advocate for, which is to move away from the type of community policing type of models into more of a co-creation, co-production type of model. Once the priority places have been identified and a strategy has been developed by the group, then we mobilize resources and the expertise of our partners to to these areas that require more attention, to the areas that need them most. So if you're wondering who are the organizations that currently are part of the Newark Public Safety Collaborative, here you have a glimpse of who is at the table. This is a varied group of organizations. So now taking us back to this grant. This grant was focused, of course, on gun violence and to better understand some of the dynamics that bring gun violence to parts of the city of Newark. So to address gun violence, we analyzed the data that came back from 2000 all the way from 2021 to 2022, 2 years of data. We analyzed it through RTM, and something we found is that bodegas and convenience stores were popping as being particularly significant attractors of criminal behavior. They were acting as a magnet to these types of behaviors. And taking a deeper dive into the data, we identified that these micro-level locations, these places, were connected to, in particular, with aggravated assaults in connection with gunfire, as well as homicides, but not that much with robberies. So here you have a map where you can see the areas in purple. These are the highest areas for violent crime as identified through our analysis. And you can see that the overlap with 30 of 91 bodegas in total that are currently present in the city of Newark. These 30 bodegas are considered to be at the top risk for gun violence. Out of what was interesting when we ran this analysis, we actually were able to connect these 30 bodegas with over 88% of all homicides that took place in the city in 2022, particularly during nighttime hours. And another finding that we had as part of this analysis was that these bodegas tend to be more present in so-called food deserts. So food deserts are areas where there's no readily accessible, where supermarkets are not readily accessible, and therefore are defined as food deserts. What we found is that bodegas really play a role in these communities by providing services to these areas that are underserved by other type of services. So they're some sort of meeting point, intersection point where that brings the community where these small businesses that are usually family owned and family operated are providing a service that is demanded by the lack of other services. So bodegas tend to be more present in socially disorganized areas. This is a finding that we had through this analysis. So we shared this data with our community partners, and these particular organizations took a stand on the problem. Like I said, we have over 40 organizations working with us, collaborating with our group. But out of this group, in particular, the police department, Brick City Peace Collective, and the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery in Newark, and the utilities company. So you could say, what is the connection between these players? So here is how the strategy emerged. So out of the identification of these 30 bodegas, law enforcement decided to use code enforcement as a response to the problem. So they used code enforcement to better understand whether these bodegas at risk, these bodegas that have been identified because of this overlap with repeated victimization, particularly in connection with gun violence. And they use code enforcement. Code enforcement is a way to understand whether a bodega, for example, has any type of violations or any type of ongoing issues, so that they can take the necessary measures with this type of with this particular convenience store bodegas. The other response was the utilities company response, which had to do with lighting. Some of the bodega, one of the strategies that we used was to create a flyer and share this flyer with the bodegas owners at the highest risk of victimization, and offer them access to a PSCNG program that allow them to, for $20, just $20 a month, install a floodlight in front of the bodega so that they could better illuminate the front, the facade of their establishment. For just $20 a month, they can get access to this service, and they don't need to pay anything for the electricity cost of this floodlight. So that was another strategy that came out from these meetings. The next one was implemented by the Office of Violence, by OVP, the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, and the Brick City Peace Collective, and it had to do with a community survey. So they organized a community survey on their own, and they went to these bodegas to ask bodega owners what are some of the conditions that they are noticing near the bodegas. According to the survey results, things like lack of lighting, gatherings, drug selling are some of the behaviors that they've noticed in front of the bodegas. And this information is currently being used, it hasn't yet been used, to implement multifaceted strategies that will deal with, for example, juveniles or gatherings in front of the bodega by deploying social workers, and other strategies that will be with the lead of the Office of Violence Prevention. The fourth one, and I think the most innovative response to this problem came from the idea of addressing the food desert problem. Like I said, we found an overlap, and this is through a study that I began separate from this project with another professor in the University of Colorado. Alexis Kennedy was particularly interested on the influence of food deserts. So when we look at the overlap in Newark, we actually found, like I said, the bodegas at risk to be very connected, in the case of aggravated assaults and homicides, to be overlapping with these so-called food deserts. So one of the alternatives that we proposed to our partners was to bring fresh produce to these bodegas and corner stores in order to bring in new clienteles to these establishments, and therefore bring more eyes to the streets. In other words, increase transit into these spaces so that there's fewer opportunities for drug selling and other illegal behaviors in proximity to these particular micro-level places. And I would note another something at a conference that I just attended in New York City. The mayor of New York City mentioned that the police department in New York was also addressing the problem of fentanyl near bodegas in their city. So again, here we can see a certain dynamic that is not just happening in Newark, but it's happening in other places where these establishments that, as I said, tend to be more present in more impoverished, socially disorganized areas of the city, act as a magnet to certain types of illegal behaviors, and therefore can be the focus point for targeted interventions. So here I have some preliminary results on what we've seen near these bodegas. Out of the 6 bodegas at the top that were at top of the 30 that I mentioned, you can see that we accounted pre-intervention, so before we share this information with our community partners. So that was 3 months. These are 3 months of data. We saw, for example, on the top ones, the 180 12th Avenue and 610 15th Avenue, 3 incidents of gun violence in each one of them, and then 2 on the following. So those are just counts. What we saw after the intervention has been a reduction, a decrease, or no gun violence within 800 feet of these micro-level places after the intervention had been undertaken. Again, this is not a project that has concluded. This is an ongoing project. So these are just numbers that our team have put together last week for me to share what we are seeing. But this campaign, this project is still ongoing. It's not a project that will finish with this grant. It's a project that the NPSC, under its overall mission to provide data-informed community engagement solutions and strategies to the city of Newark, is going to continue to be implemented for the next year. So this is what I had for you. Hopefully there's some questions. So I don't know if there's any questions from the audience. I'll be happy to answer them at this point. Oh, and I see the chat is also working on this side. Thank you, Angela. So, I see a question. Does PSENG provide the lighting program in all the communities that they service? So this PSENG program that I just discussed, the flyer was custom made for this campaign by our PSENG liaison. However, the program is accessible for any, is a program that PSENG offers. So it's not a specific program for this campaign. What PSENG did for us is they organized they prepared a flyer for us so that we could share it with our partners, and they could bring it to those bodega owners. Again, here what MPSC does is we're just an intermediary organization that is providing access to this type of data and this type of analytics. But in the end, the CBOs, the community-based organizations, block group associations, etc., they are the ones who are in contact with the bodega owners. What we provide them is with as much insights and information as possible. So I don't know if there's any other. Thank you, Angela. So I guess I would just leave. Thanks everyone for coming. And I guess I don't know if you have another session, but thanks for attending our session, my session. Have a great one.